Subtle.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, subtle. Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz is the chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee. She's in her home state, Florida, which is where the DNC is shadowing the Romney campaign. Nice to see you. Thanks for being with us. Here's a list of, from what I can call from the Republicans. My pleasure. Republicans, why they love Paul Ryan, and we've had a couple on this morning to talk about. He appeals to the base. He's young. They call him a truth teller. He's telegenic. He gives a great speech. He's a genuine conservative. And he's got a great personal story about his father who died when he was a teenager and he had to help pull the family up from the bootstraps. I can go on, or you can jump in and tell me why you disagree.
Well, what makes severely conservative extreme Republicans delighted makes seniors here in my home state of Florida really gravely concerned, and rightfully so, as well as the middle class, because Mitt Romney's full embrace of the Ryan budget by actually nominating and selecting its author and architect as to be his running mate really spells disaster for the middle class, spells disaster for seniors, because Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan both want to end Medicare as we know it. They both want to shred the safety net that is the Medicare health care safety net for seniors that's been in place for more than 50 years, that would add more than $6,000 in premiums under Paul Ryan's proposal that Mitt Romney's embraced to seniors' premiums in Medicare, and that would really force us back to the days for seniors that had them choosing between medicine and meals, and had them choosing between health care and paying their rent and literally surviving.
That's the point where
it's unacceptable, it's devastating, and it's another clear picture where Mitt Romney stands.
Some people might say that last portion right there is where you started getting very dramatic, the picking between food and having to pay for your medications, which clearly is circumstances.
Look, so there's nothing dramatic about, let's go back. No. There's nothing dramatic about it. If you go back to before Medicare was a safety net that was in place for our seniors, you had seniors who were not able to pay for their own health care needs, whose children went medically bankrupt trying to care for them. And so what we did is we adopted Medicare because we knew when seniors reached, after years of working, a point at which they were no longer going to be able to afford their basic health care costs, we had a safety net in place, Medicare, that is a floor through which we're not going to allow them to fall through.
And Paul Ryan, in his interview on 60 Minutes,
cuts a hole in that floor, and
Paul Ryan, in his interview on 60 Minutes, spoke about his mother, who is one of those very seniors, right? And here's what he said.
My mom is a Medicare senior in Florida. Our point is we need to preserve their benefits because government made promises to them that they organize their retirements around. In order to make sure we can do that, you must reform it for those of us who are younger. And we think these reforms are good reforms.
So really, for someone like his mother, for those seniors in Florida who you see right now, their plan's not going to be touched, right? It's people who are 55 and younger.
Well, both my parents are on Medicare and live in Florida, too, and I can tell you that my parents and the tens of thousands of seniors that I represent are deeply concerned that Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney want to turn Medicare into a voucher program, want to end the guarantee. That's what Medicare is. Medicare is a guarantee for seniors that there is going to be a safety net through which we're not going to allow them to fall. Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan embrace ending that guarantee. Paul Ryan's the architect of ending it. His plan would increase the premiums for seniors by more than $6,000. And as a result, when the voucher is provided and it doesn't amount to as much as the cost of a private health care plan, a senior would have to make choices that would be financially very, very challenging for them. And that's the guarantee that we said seniors would no longer have to worry about.
I got to ask you a question about something you were saying on Fox News on Sunday. You were interviewed and you were being asked about this Priorities USA Super PAC ad that featured a guy whose wife died of cancer. They were talking about it on the show last week when I was out. And they asked you, should the Democrats be releasing an ad that accuses a presidential candidate through inference of being responsible for a woman's death? And you said that's a Priorities USA ad. That's not a Democratic ad. It's a Priorities USA Super PAC ad.
Right.
And then he asked you, do you deny that they're Democrats? And you said this: I have no idea the political affiliation of folks who are associated with that Super PAC. Really?
So that, of course, I know the Priorities USA Super PAC is a Democratic-affiliated Super PAC. The point I was trying to make was that that ad was produced by a separate organization, an organization that we don't coordinate with, that we had nothing to do with. And the bottom line of that ad is that it was making the point, and the individual in that ad was making the point, that Mitt Romney's claim to fame and his predicate for his candidacy for president is that he had private sector experience. His private sector experience devastated companies like GST Steel. It bankrupted companies. It laid people off and cut their benefits, and that had an impact on families like that gentleman's, and that's the point the ad is trying to make, and I think it's a valid one. Something people need to consider when they're looking at the choice between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney.
Congressman Debbie Wasserman Schultz joining us this morning, Democrat from the state of Florida, which is where she is this morning. Nice to see you. Thanks for talking with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet.
Always great to be with you.